She had a single-minded passion, and it was to get her ex-husband in the grave.
A jealous girlfriend takes bloody revenge.
She said, I can't let you go. You're going to die.
Daddy's little girl becomes his killer.
She had to be looking him right in the eye, and she still did it.
And an ex-wife completes her divorce with a gun.
It was an incredibly cold-blooded killing.
For these deadly women, it's payback time with a lethal vengeance. Bellevue, Idaho, 2003.
Bellevue had not seen a seriously violent crime since 1974.
Diane! What's that noise? You all right? Diane!
You could hear sirens all over the valley. I mean, I woke up to sirens.
That morning, Marguerite Sowersby receives terrible news.
It was totally disbelief that this could happen in such a small town. Alan and Diane were very well known, very well liked. They were active in our church. They were active in the trap shooting community. They were active with bowling. They were fun people.
Now, at 6 a.m. in their own home, Alan Johnson and his wife Diane have been shot dead.
We had our fights, we had our drunks, we had our DUIs, we had those kind of things. We did not have brutal gunplay. That just didn't happen.
Not everyone is in shock. The Johnsons' daughter, Sarah, is strangely calm.
Sarah was sitting on the fence watching them bring the bodies out in body bags. And it was no different than her watching a softball game. It was very cold, very, so what?
In the tight-knit town of Bellevue, Alan Johnson had always been known as a doting father.
Alan was a sweetheart. He was like the brother that I never had. And he was very affectionate with his kids. He was a good dad.
Give me a high five. Beautiful. Let's go again.
Alan's sister-in-law, Linda Vavold, said he had a special bond with his daughter, Sarah.
Good, okay?
She and her mom would butt heads fairly often, but she loved her daddy, and she was always daddy's girl.
But 16-year-old Sarah has another man in her life.
Bruno Santos was a high school dropout here in the Valley, an illegal alien. And Sarah started seeing him, and I didn't particularly care for him.
Bruno is 3 years older than Sarah and known to police.
Bruno was involved in some street narcotics activity. Nothing major, but enough that when he drove around, he got the blue light special.
So they told Sarah that they did not want her to spend any time with him.
I don't know who he is or where he comes from. I'm not your baby. Go! Let my baby go!
And so Sarah was pretty upset about that, and apparently she decided that she was going to see Bruno whether they wanted her to or not. They found out that she had spent the night at Bruno's place, and they thought that she was with a girlfriend.
Sarah, what are you doing here with this young man?
What are you doing here, Daddy?
I told you not to be with this young man. Come on. Don't do that. Hey, let her go. Listen, young man, I'm gonna get the police around here. I'm gonna tell them exactly what you're doing.
How
Sleeping with
dare
an underage girl. Get it?
He had a few heated words with Bruno and told him to stay away from Sarah.
Okay, come on, Sarah. Come over here. Come on. Come on.
In trying to protect his daughter, Alan makes a deadly enemy.
I had talked with Alan on the phone, and he was crying. He was just devastated that she pulled this, and I told him I loved him and I'd do anything I could to help him, and that was the last time I got to talk to my friend.
In the small town of Bellevue, Idaho, no one saw it coming.
You don't want to believe it because it just can't be real.
Diane Johnson and her husband, Alan, murdered in their own bedroom. Their daughter, 16-year-old Sarah, calls for help.
I received a call at my home from Blaine County Dispatch the morning of the homicide.
Marshal Randy Tremble is expecting a routine call-out.
However, the dispatcher went on to explain to me that she could hear screaming in the background on the 911 call that somebody had shot her parents.
I told you not to come around this man's house. What are you doing here?
You can't keep telling me what to do anymore.
Come
Just
with me, young
3
lady. Come
days
on.
earlier,
Come on.
Alan
Come on.
Johnson banned his daughter from seeing her boyfriend. 19-year-old Bruno Santos is an illegal alien with a criminal past.
All of us immediately assumed that it was Bruno. We just knew that it was, that he was angry that Diane and Alan had forbidden Sarah to see him. So we were convinced that it was Bruno.
In the days following the murder, Sarah seems oddly unaffected by her parents' death.
No, guys, it's cool. I'm here to play. Let's just, let's play.
Sarah was pretty much unemotional. It was very strange.
Anyone know any good place to go get your nails done, or?
She seemed preoccupied with doing her normal activities. She wanted to go watch the volleyball game. She wanted to go get her nails done.
Know anywhere?
Sarah, are you okay?
I'm seriously, I'm fine. Like,
Your parents just died.
I'm fine, guys. Don't worry about it. Let's just play.
She never said anything about, I miss my mom and dad. She never cried. It was just like nothing there.
Come on with this.
Even more suspicious is what police find in her trash.
And that was some very important evidence. There was a bathrobe that had some blood on it and gloves.
The truth about who killed Alan and Diane is becoming clear.
From the moment I spoke with Sarah Johnson to where we are sitting right here, right now, I have no doubt Sarah Johnson killed her mother and father.
morning, parental discipline triggers an appalling reaction.
Sarah's ego would not allow her to ever accept defeat. She had to have the last word. She had to be seen by others as someone who was on top at all times. She was the kind of person, because of this, that would deeply resent being told what to do.
Sarah's fury cannot be controlled.
The only thing that we could surmise was that she was so in love with Bruno. And when her parents broke it off and said she was not going to see him again, he was not going to be coming around, that something just snapped in her.
Sarah's mother never wakes up.
According to the evidence, Diane had been shot while she was still in bed asleep.
You're right!
When Alan Johnson investigates,
Oh my God! Oh,
Daddy's
no!
girl takes her revenge.
No, baby! No!
Alan had been shot facing the person that killed him. And if it was Sarah, she had to be looking him right in the eye. And she still did it. And that just was really hard for us to accept.
Sarah's parents loved and nurtured her for 16 years. They had no idea they'd raised a girl unable to feel empathy. A dangerous girl, a sociopath.
The fact that Sarah was able to shoot both of her parents in such a calm, methodical fashion, I think speaks to her sociopathy. These people who had raised her meant nothing to her. What they meant to her actually was obstruction, and killing them was easy.
But getting away with murder isn't so simple.
In that garbage can was the bathrobe that Sarah had put on, as well as rubber gloves and outer gloves that she had worn.
Police find no evidence to link Bruno Santos to the murders.
And within a few days, they had decided that Sarah was a prime suspect. And all of us were just shocked. We never would have thought it. Never.
The bloody robe and gloves from the Johnsons' trash match Sarah's DNA. Sarah Johnson is convicted of 2 counts of murder in the 1st degree. The girl trying to escape her parents' rules finds herself locked up for life.
Society really is better off with Sarah away forever, because anyone that kills their parent in a cold-blooded fashion when there's no history of abuse going on there is not someone you want walking around.
The cold act of revenge scars everyone who knew Alan and Diane Johnson, except for their daughter. Sarah never admits guilt and never shows remorse.
I don't think she has any comprehension of what she's done. I think she's just put it in a little compartment somewhere and she's just not dealing with it. I never saw her cry for her parents. I never did.
This is a woman who was not able to take rejection on any level.
Consumed by lethal vengeance, this mom's next target will be flesh and blood.
It was an incredibly cold-blooded killing.
Richmond, Virginia, 1999. 40-year-old Piper Rountree is on a downward slide.
I think Piper became increasingly unstable over a period of years.
Crime writer Catherine Casey investigated Piper's volatile psyche.
Piper had a personality disorder, a narcissistic personality disorder.
The disorder makes Piper self-obsessed, unable to see her own faults.
Piper saw herself as a great lawyer, and she was never a great lawyer. And Piper saw herself as a great mother, and she was really never a great mother.
What are you doing?
That's just a little drink in the afternoon.
Pills and alcohol?
That reality is beginning to dawn on Piper's husband of 17 years, Fred Jablin.
Fred had an early marriage and it had failed, and he was deeply wounded by it, and he never wanted that to happen again.
Hey, everybody, come and get something over it.
Piper and Fred hadn't always been unhappy.
Sure, use this.
Yeah?
This is great.
Their young family grew from a loving romance.
I don't know, we'll think about it.
They married after the first year, and they looked like they were very happy. People in Fred's office said that she made him human in a way.
A sleeper, that's nice. Pool party, I don't know. You think?
And everybody thought maybe he would be really good for Piper because he had that strength and that rigidity about him that she just totally lacked.
But Fred is about to make a painful discovery.
What are you doing?
Hi, I'm getting
What's
ready
this?
to go. I'm going out for lunch with the girls. Nothing special.
You're seeing somebody else, aren't you?
God's sake, Fred.
Fred learned that Piper was having an affair with a doctor in Richmond. And that was something that Fred couldn't turn his back on.
You know what, Fred? I'm going out.
Yeah, you know, that's fine. Yeah, just get out.
Bye, Fred.
Get out!
Fred files for divorce and plants a seed of vengeance.
Thousands upon thousands of married couples split up and divorce every year in this country, and rarely does it end in homicide.
I'm so angry.
Piper blames Fred for ruining their marriage
I can't calm down.
and
I'm so
her
angry. How I
life.
got away with that, I don't know. But I'm telling you now, Tina, I'm going to get
When he gains custody of their 3 children, it's the last straw.
taking care of the kids. I sacrificed my career to him. I did so much for him.
She lost the kids, and that couldn't happen to Piper. That just couldn't happen. She lost everything when she lost the kids. They were her self-image.
I'm sorry. I'm just so angry.
Living with her sister Tina in Houston, Piper becomes obsessed with revenge.
I want to kill him. How else am I going to get my hands back? What am I going to do? What am I going to do without my kids?
Fred Jablin seemed to have everything. His life was going very well.
All right, I'm gonna fix it right now. Let me just see. All right.
Piper Rountree's life was in disarray, and I think she was desperate without her children.
Told you. Okay, excellent.
Attorney Wade Kaiser believes Piper's desperation set a deadly plan in motion.
We know that Piper Rountree visited a shooting range in Houston, Texas, the week before this murder.
Piper practices with a .38 caliber revolver. Coldly, deliberately, she is rehearsing a homicide.
Piper had a single-minded passion, and it was to get her ex-husband in the grave.
In the leafy suburbs of Richmond, Virginia, a body shot to death before dawn.
It seemed like it was a planned hit or someone intentionally went there to kill him.
The victim is Fred Jablin, respected professor, father of 3, recently divorced.
A number of people had said, well, the first suspect I'd look at would be the ex-wife.
The day after the murder, Sergeant Breck McDaniel interviews Fred Jablin's ex-wife, 1,500 miles away in Houston, Texas.
She was entrenched in the statement that I was in Galveston, I was in Houston, I did not leave Texas, and she didn't waver from that. She stuck to her guns and she wasn't changing it.
Piper Rountree is lying, concealing a crime of deep premeditation.
I was a homicide detective for almost 6 years, working murders full-time, and worked on a lot of murders. And Piper's plan was the most elaborate I can think of.
Excellent. Get this back to you? Yeah.
Fred Jablin believes his ex-wife is in Houston. But she's just around the corner.
Well, before she left, she bought 2 wigs, a blonde wig and a red wig. And the blonde wig looked a little bit like her sister Tina's hair. And the red wig, she held in reserve for her escape.
How can I help you? I'd like a room for 2 nights, please.
Sure, just to start. Can I get some ID?
Piper has traveled to Richmond using her sister Tina's identity. And she uses a false name to sign in at a hotel.
Here you go, 20. Enjoy yourself.
The clerk at the hotel she stayed at nearby the murder scene commented on her behavior and how odd it was that she was wearing this wig and like she wouldn't make eye contact. So almost she drew more attention to herself in an effort to disguise herself than if she just behaved normally.
The cell phone is another mistake.
Piper was a cell phone addict. She was on the phone all the time. They were able to pinpoint them, and they knew that somebody was on Piper's cell phone in the Richmond area.
No. Mom is in Galveston.
We knew that she was the one using the telephone because her children had talked to her, recognized her voice.
Okay, bye.
Piper Rountree is on a mission of lethal vengeance.
Fred, I hate you. I'm going to get my kids back and you're going to be dead in your grave. I'm going to kill you, Fred.
Her children will lose their father in a violent shooting. Because Piper has to place her own feelings first.
Piper's a narcissist. She's a true narcissist. And a true narcissist really doesn't think about how other people feel. And in this instance, I don't believe she ever really thought it through. I don't think she ever realized the effect it would have on her children. She only thought about what would make her happy.
She's already chosen the exact moment to strike.
We know that she was aware of her husband's routine of waking up early, making coffee, and going out to the street to pick up the newspaper.
On this Saturday morning, the news is all bad.
Who's that?
You know who it is, Fred.
The last thing Fred would have seen was Piper holding that gun, and it was an incredibly cold-blooded killing.
Piper flies back to Houston right after the murder. Her mission accomplished, she thinks she's left no trace.
This is a murder by a classic narcissist. She was so arrogant in thinking that she could get away with this that she paid no attention to the details.
She left a very long trail of circumstantial evidence regarding the purchase of wigs, the rental of cars, using identifications that not hers, going to gun ranges to practice firearm shooting, things of that nature. Checking a gun at the airport on the way up there, but not checking one way on the way back. Clue.
Piper is arrested just days after the killing. The evidence against her is overwhelming. She will spend the rest of her life separated from her children, behind bars.
The most tragic part of this case is what she has done to the lives of her own 3 children. Not only did she take their father away in a cold-blooded execution-type killing, but the stigma of what she has done has got to weigh heavily on these 3 kids and will for the rest of their lives.
A frenzied gang, baying for blood. A helpless victim in a fight for life.
It was like torture, not just a quick kill.
There was hardly any places about her face and body that didn't have a cut mark or slice mark.
But Colleen Slemmer's ordeal isn't over. This time, the blade leaves a terrifying mark.
That pentagram was supposed to be the door to release her soul to Satan.
Tonight, Colleen will die, and her killer will celebrate.
There was an evil person behind those eyes.
Knoxville, Tennessee, 1994.
Get one of these. It's a job.
The Job Corps provides education and training for teens trying to get their lives started.
The Job Corps was designed for pretty much troubled youth.
What would you like to do? Smoke weed, Joe!
It was the last stop for them.
18-year-old Christa Pike lives on the Job Corps campus, where her studies are taking a back seat.
She began a relationship with a boy by the name of Daryl Shipp. She believed that she really loved him and that he was the love of her life.
It's a love with a dark side, according to crime writer Patricia Springer.
Christa was very much the jealous type, so she was very possessive of Daryl. His time, his energy, his interest.
Make a business for yourself. What are you looking at? Hey, please, please.
Christa believes there is a rival for Daryl's affections.
Colleen Slemmer was also a student at the Job Corps Center. And Christa took a dislike to Colleen. Christa stated that she felt Colleen was trying to take Daryl away from her, but from all other indication that I've found, that was not true.
The truth doesn't matter to Christa Pike. She's already plotting a savage act of revenge.
You would think in a sleepy town like Knoxville that you wouldn't see anything of that sort.
Detective Randy York will deal with the aftermath of Christa Pike's awful rage.
I couldn't justify what she did in my thought process, and I don't want to. Anybody that could, I would imagine, would be as crazy as her.
Growing up, Christa had little family stability.
Hey, sweetie, look what I got. What, Mom? You want to try some? I want some. Okay, okay, you can have some.
Mom was more interested in partying than raising a child.
All right, write me up, baby.
Then as she got to be a teenager, Mom wanted to be more of a friend than a mother. And she smoked pot with Christa.
Okay, you want to have a go? Yes. Okay, hold on a minute.
Christa was sent to her father. Her father didn't want her. He'd send her back to Mom. And so she was bounced around. Her grandmother actually raised her.
All right, you having fun or what?
When her grandmother died, that was sort of the ultimate abandonment for her. That was the only person that had ever really cared for her.
Learn how to chill sometime. What do you do that for?
It's more than parenting or drugs that makes Christa dangerous. It's her volatile mental state.
I'm not trying to have a little girl time tonight. I don't want to have girl time. Don't! You're stupid! You're skank!
I don't think Christa had a chance of being a normal person in our society. She certainly later in her prison years was diagnosed with a severe mental illness.
The illness sounds benign, borderline personality disorder, but it means that Christa lives in a world of extremes, a place of all or nothing, of black or white, of love or hate.
For a young person with an inability to handle their emotions in a mature manner, it's not much of a jump from jealousy to violence.
Do you know Colleen? Yeah. That bitch, I hate her. Why? 'Cause she's trying to steal Tadaro. I just feel mean today. You know, I could kill someone. Yes, I could. I could kill someone. You don't believe me?
Christa decided that she was going to get rid of the competition, so to speak. So she thought the only way to eliminate the competition was to kill her.
On the night of January 13th, 1994, Christa Pike, to Daryl's ship, and 18-year-old friend Shadala Peterson invite Colleen Slemmer for a walk in the woods.
She lured her to a park in Knoxville with the idea that she had some pot, some marijuana that they were going to smoke.
Oh, what is that?
But for Colleen, there will be no pleasure in this experience, only pain.
Christa claimed she was only going to scare the victim. You don't need a meat cleaver and a box cutter to scare someone.
In Knoxville, Tennessee, a brutal crime scene. A teenage girl slashed, murdered, mutilated.
They had carved a pentagram on the victim. And that was actually cut in with probably the box cutter. And that was while she was still alive.
The crime scene attracts the attention of students from the nearby Job Corps campus. Among them, 18-year-old Christa Pike.
Who is it? Who is it?
I'm going to ask you to step away. She and two others actually came up and was questioning the officer about what was going on.
Do you have any suspects?
This is an ongoing
But at that time, we didn't know that she was part of it.
What's your name, miss?
That's none of your business.
The symbol carved into Colleen Slemmer's body is also worn around the neck of her killer. It's a sign of Christa's devotion to Satan and her lover to Daryl's ship.
To Daryl and Christa consider himself boyfriend and girlfriend. He told me he'd been involved in satanic worship since he was 11 years old. And through that, I think maybe he might have gotten Christa into the satanic worship part of it.
Satanic desires and uncontrollable jealousy will combine in one night of horror. The evening before Colleen Slemmer's body is found, she follows 3 other students into the woods.
I don't think Colleen had any indication that this was going to happen.
Oh, what is
Christa thinks Colleen is moving in on her boyfriend and wants to take revenge. She's brought to Daryl's ship and Shadora Peterson as backup.
That's right, that's what you deserve.
Sometimes when people are in a group, they involve themselves in behaviors with the group that they would never do individually, ever. And sometimes that ends up in a group murder.
Christa confronted Colleen about her relationship with Daryl. Colleen insisted that she had no relationship with Daryl, but Christa was so possessive of him that she wouldn't hear it.
Christa draws a blade from her jacket.
She called her a lying bitch, and she said that she was going to make sure that she didn't come around to Daryl any longer, and then she began cutting her.
During the next 45 minutes, Colleen will be slashed over 300 times.
In this case, I think all of the marks left on the victim's body indicate she was being punished. She was being punished by Christa, and Christa got her friends to go along with her.
To Daryl's ship is happy to join in. He carves the pentagram into Colleen's skin.
I assumed that that was going to be his mark in the kill. He wanted to put his brand on it.
While Colleen bleeds to death, she still clings to hope.
And she said, if you just let me go, I'll hitchhike on to Florida. I'll go back home, just let me go. And basically she said, you know I've already gone too far. I can't let you go. You're going to die.
The last thing Colleen Slemmer sees is Christa Pike raising her arm. The death blow crushes Colleen's skull. After the murder, Christa returns to her dormitory.
You didn't kill her, did you? Yes, I killed her. I killed the bitch. You didn't.
A lot of killers will take souvenirs, and they're always something very personal to the victim, but this is the most personal I've ever seen.
What is that? What
She took a piece of a skull.
She took that piece of skull to a service station, washed it off, wrapped it in a napkin, and placed it in her coat pocket. Somebody asked where Colleen was at, and she patted her pocket. She said, oh, I'm having breakfast with her.
Gruesome, gruesome souvenir. And worse, she showed it off to people. She was proud of what she did.
The pentagram carved into Colleen's body leads police to investigate Satanists at the Job Corps. They discover that Christa has been bragging about her crime.
I would say she was giddy. She was excited about what she did. This is the grandest thing that's ever happened.
Randy York, the detective, was just stunned because she was euphoric, and she played out both parts of the kill for Randy. She would get down on the ground and she would squirm just like Colleen did, and then she would jump up and she would play her part as the killer and slash motions. So it was just that delight in what she had done.
All three suspects admit to the attack on Colleen Slemmer. Shadola Peterson receives a 6-year suspended sentence. Daryl Shipp gets life. And Christa Pike is sentenced to death. At 21, she becomes the youngest person on death row in Tennessee.
It did surprise me because most juries are sympathetic to young people for some reason. But I don't think the jury saw any hope for this girl. I think they heard all the details and the things that happened, and I think they saw her as evil.
A craving for revenge and a dangerous mental illness made Christa Pike a brutal killer. She remains on death row and remains dangerous.
I don't believe Christa has changed. I don't believe Christa can change. I think her personality is set. In prison, she has attempted murder again, and I think that that's who basically she is. And she can't possibly change that at this point in her life.
For these deadly women, revenge was served with blood. Sarah Johnson turned a teenage tantrum into murder. Piper Rountree wouldn't rest until her ex-husband was dead. And Christa Pike was a born killer, just waiting to strike. Once angered, they raged inside and hit back with lethal vengeance.